Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We'll be talking about the government strategy after the KPK polls as far as the local government is concerned. Also, what the government has done. The Prime Minister has also spoken about a committee that he has formed that will overlook the local bodies elections all over Punjab. We'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about the opposition at this time. It seems to be quite confident overall. What's behind their confidence? Of course, the Prime Minister spoke about the former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's disqualification when he said that, of course, a disqualified person, how can then the opposition expect him to again become the Prime Minister, which is one of the other theories that is being talked about. We'll be talking about that also. Also, more about the overall political situation vis-a-vis the PPP, Asif Ali Zardari's admission of wanting to stay in Punjab and Lahore and oversee the whole process. What kind of inroads does he expect to make within Punjab? All of that today on Perspective. I have with me Javed Siddique. Thank you so much for being with us, Javed Sahab. He's a senior analyst. We have with us Ali Rashid from the PPP. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Niaz Murtaza, who is a political analyst. Thank you for joining us today. We will also have someone from the government in due course. Ji Javed Sahab, as far as the overall strategy is concerned, of course, there is an overall lack of performance as far as the government is concerned, and an admission of it, and there seems to be all of this effort to revamp and invigorate whatever strategy the government feels they must have as far as Punjab is concerned. How do you see this? Do you think that the Prime Minister has taken a step back and looked at the overall picture? He has seen what's happening as far as the local bodies is concerned. The way the tickets were awarded, of course, is another area which he talked about, and also the Information Minister spoke about and said that the way that it is going to be done is going to be changed from now on.
I think the government has faced challenge after challenge. The economic challenge was very massive, and the impact of price hike, inflation is being felt at lowest level and even at the middle level. The middle class is also affected. So that is a major challenge for this government. It has been there for quite some time, and the government has not been able to manage the price hike and the inflation and the economy as a whole. Secondly, I think the recent setback in the KP local bodies polls has definitely given a shock to the ruling party and its leadership, that the KPK was their strong fort, and why did they lose in such a manner? And that is, I think, is a huge reality which they are pondering and thinking about.
Let me come back to you. We have with us Ali Muhammad Khan from the PTI. Ali, overall, as far as inflation price hike is concerned, like Javed Sahab was saying, when the Prime Minister talks about revamping, and the committee that he's formed, and as far as overlooking the whole local bodies elections are concerned, do you think that the effect of price hike inflation is perhaps is it being looked at as much as it should be in all of this scenario as far as the KPK elections are concerned?
Thank you so much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad. First of all, I would like to pay my regards and good wishes for the birthday of the founder of the state, Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Tomorrow is 25th December. And also happy Christmas to the Christian brethren living in Pakistan and across the globe. Well, your answer is a bit tricky in the sense that, yes, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf has not been able to perform at that extent in which we were expecting in the local body in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. But the situation is not like if it has been, God forbid, wiped out. We got around 13 Tahsil seats, and JUI is ahead of us. But the main aspirants for the seat in Islamabad, that is the seat of the Prime Minister, which had been inhabited by Pakistan Muslim League, known 3 times in the past and 4 times in the past by Pakistan People's Party. Where are they in the whole horoscope of the LB in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa? They are nowhere to be seen. We can't see Pakistan People's Party or Muslim League Noon getting any seat there. So if it is alarming for us that we have not been able to get a landslide victory there. Yes, we have been in contest. In some places we have won, and in some places we have lost. But we have got around 8 lakh plus 800,000 plus votes, and the same is the case with JUI. But what about Muslim League Noon and People's Party who are planning to capture the seat of Prime Minister? They are making their plans every day. Each night they sit and they think that tomorrow they're going to dislodge the Prime Minister, and then things are the same at the dawn of the other day. Well, as far as the reasons are concerned, maybe one of the main reasons is the ticket distribution. The second would be, of course, the effects of inflation. Yes, I would not deny that inflation has its role, but if we had been able to effectively give our ticket distribution in a much more organized and better manner, which the Honorable Prime Minister has taken notice of, and he has now formed a new committee and disbanded all the other organizations, the Tanzimi structure, the organization structure of Pakistan.
But the Prime Minister also said today, he said that as far as the economy is concerned, it's on the right path and we're seeing industrial growth, all of those things. Do you think that that will perhaps trickle down and be reminiscent of the overall picture as far as PTI is concerned in the upcoming polls as far as Punjab is concerned?
Well, as far as the economic revival is concerned, it is something which is a long process, but in short term, yes, we may expect a decrease in inflation after around 2 or 3 months. Things will get better because we will be passed through this very important challenging time at the moment. So hopefully when the local bodies elections of Punjab and the second phase in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa comes, we will be in better position to perform there. But the real battle will be in 2023, where when the general elections will be called, and then the real voter and supporter of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf will come out again, because that vote would mean that will Mr. Imran Khan continue beyond 2023, or will, God forbid, we will be thrown in the lap of those, I would, God forbid, use this word, sorry to, in advance, to all the honorable colleagues from the main two other parties, People's Party, Muslim League Noon. But God forbid, I would say that we may not be thrown in the lap of those scavengers who had looted and plundered Pakistan for the 30-odd years in which they had been power. The economy of Pakistan had been thrown to the, been shattered, and their personal wealth and their personal lives have improved manifold. So God forbid, I would say that we don't deserve those people again. Yes.
Right, Ali. Why does the opposition then look so confident when we talk about? And of course, the Prime Minister spoke about the disqualification of Nawaz Sharif Saab also, and he said that there seems to be some movement in trying to go to court on that, or trying to get around that somehow. What is behind this kind of confidence that there seems to be this infusion of confidence that the PMLN suddenly seems to have sprouted, in your opinion?
Well, I don't know. From what sort of confidence do you mean? Their ex-Prime Minister is...
Do you think it's because of the KPK polls that they're feeling that, and perhaps they're hopeful that they will perhaps be able to do better in Punjab also? Is that behind it? What is behind it, in your opinion?
The ex-Prime Minister is a fugitive from law. The courts of the countries are calling him, and he's not coming back. And he's being thrown out of power by the apex court of the country. If somebody can find a higher court than that, tell me. So if somebody has been removed for being dishonest from the highest office of the country, by the highest court of the country, so we are now talking about the same person coming back and trying to lead the party again and come back to the Prime Minister house. So probably I would say it would be a sad day for our morality. Are we so down in our morality that a person who has been dishonest and proven dishonest by the apex court, now we're talking about giving him some passage? I think gone are the days of backdoor deals. There's only one main leader in the country, popular leader. Yes, he is having his challenges and he's facing a tough competition because he's facing the mafia. But probably Mr. Imran Khan is probably the one most popular leader at the moment in the country.
Right, Ali, I know you have little time, but overall, as far as PTI is concerned, in your opinion, you said yourself that the ultimate test, of course, will be the next elections. What do you think is that one factor, in your opinion? Of course, we saw the information minister also come out and say that as far as one national party is concerned, he sees PTI as the only party. Others have sort of relegated into, regional parties. If we talk about the PPP, we talk about the PMLN, which he said, according to him, seems to be only Punjab based.
Well, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf has been struggling for 23 years against the mafia because this party was made in retaliation to the shenanigans and the loot and the plunder of the powerful and the elite who had done their part and destroyed the economy of Pakistan since the decade of darkness. So when we did that, we confronted them everywhere. So in Karachi, it's Tehreek-e-Insaf versus other parties, but not People's Party. In Interior Sindh, it's Tehreek-e-Insaf versus People's Party. In Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, it is Tehreek-e-Insaf versus JUI or ANP. And in Punjab, it is Tehreek-e-Insaf versus PMLN. So in everything, every province, you have one common denominator, and that is Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf versus the mafia. I would say the mafia, because if you are given an opportunity to rule the country, you get an opportunity to rule the country for 3 times as a prime minister, and instead of correcting and course correction and making Pakistan a strong country, you even plunge it into deeper crisis. So either you are a part of a problem or you're part of a solution. So tell me, who is part of the problem and who is part of the solution? That is something which is to be decided by the people of Pakistan in 2023 general elections.
Do you think that do the people expect another mini budget and further increases or no?
Yes, when you're in government, you do face these challenges and these problems. Inflation will decrease, inshallah, hopefully in the future. But because of the bad policies of the past, we were forced to go to seek the help of IMF within the first 6 months of the country. If we had inherited a good economy, and after 3.5 years, if now we were going to IMF, we could have been blamed for putting Pakistan's economy into shackles. But when we came into power and we didn't have even the foreign exchange reserves to have lasted for 1 month, what does that signify? It signifies that for the last 5 years of PMLN rule, the economy was in shambles. And that was certified in a way that after 4 years of rule and economic policies of Mr. Ishaq Dar, in the final year, in their very own government, through the hands of Mr. Ismail, the policies of PMLN were reversed. The Darnomics was reversed by Mr. Ismail. So here you have the answer.
Okay, thank you for being with us. Thank you for joining us, Ali Muhammad Khan Sahab. Ji, Ali Rashid, overall, I hope that you've been listening. But as far as saying that PTI has now, as far as the information minister also, he spoke about the fact that there is largely at this time, according to him, only PTI, which is a national party, and as far as the PMLN and the PPP are concerned, they seem to have relegated into regional parties. How do you respond to that?
Thank you so much. First of all, I was listening to the member from PTI who came, and the kind of views he was sharing. It was a bit amusing, because I don't know that either he's very disconnected from reality, or he doesn't know what's going on, or he's just very oblivious to whatever's going on. I think he talks about Imran Khan being the most popular leader in Pakistan. May I remind him, from Karachi to KP, every single election which has happened, they've lost. And this is, meanwhile, has been the KP government, and all the governments have been there. In the Punjab, all the elections which happened, they've lost. In Karachi, all the elections that have happened, they've lost. So I think it's the writing on the wall. They should understand that they're failing. And you know what's sad? Sad part is that they're not actually realizing. They're not even accepting that there's a problem. They think everything is fine. I see PTI representatives coming on TV and saying the economy is doing really well. They say everything is, either you admit that things are not good and we are trying to make them better, then the people might have a little sympathy or might want to try you out again. But the way they're dealing with things, it's funny. I mean, 3.5 years later, gas inflation, gas hike, inflation, everything aside, in your own party, you're complaining about awarding of tickets. The spokesperson's coming in saying that we are making a a committee in the center which will ensure right distribution of tickets. I mean, if you can't run your own political party, how will you run the country? They've made a joke out of everything, and they're making a mockery out of themselves. And I think the people and the public is very aware. Hence, the people are getting their, verdict in the form of these elections, and they're losing all of this. And PTI will be totally wiped out by the next elections.
Right, okay, let me come back to you. Ji, Niaz Sahab, overall, as far as the situation is concerned, you heard what Ali Rashid said, and then before that, what Ali Muhammad Khan also spoke about as far as the performance of the PTI is concerned. Of course, inflation, price hike, those are one of those, factors which are glaringly obvious to the government also, and they're saying that, they're trying to do what they can. They're grappling with the overall situation as far as economy is concerned, with the Prime Minister saying that things are back on track. What do you attribute overall to where things are as far as the KPK elections are concerned, the reflection of the party on it, and also the forthcoming local bodies elections in Punjab?
Well, PTI is claiming that it's mainly because of, wrong ticket distribution. But I'm not really convinced by that, because PTI blames the other two major parties of being dynastic, but then, relying on all those big, figures who have their traditional votes. But then the fact is that in 2018, Imran Khan openly said that, we cannot win these elections without, those patronage networks and having those people who have their dynastic votes. And some of the biggest dynasties in Pakistan were actually with PTI. For example, the Parvez Khattak dynasty has about 15 people in politics at different levels, from federal to the local level. So I don't think it's so much about ticket distribution. I think the main factor was, the economics, the unemployment, the high inflation. Then I think the second factor was the fact that, in from 2013 to 2018, they had Parvez Khattak at the KP level, who's a very shrewd and experienced politician. His administration may not be great, but his political management was very, very good. Whereas, Mr. Mahmood, he's a political novice, and, he was sort of a kind of compromise figure, a weak compromise figure, a bit like Mr. Usman Buzdar, who was selected when, some of the other bigger figures could not be chosen because of, the intense fightings within the different factions. So I think the absence of Parvez Khattak from, the local level has made a lot of difference. And then I think, frankly, after the notification fiasco, the cooling off of, the tearing up of the one page, I think that has also made a difference. The fact that the establishment, there seems to be a rupture between the establishment and PTI, and that message has gone around to the provincial level and the local level, and that makes a lot of difference in Pakistani politics. So I would say those three are the main factors.
What do you expect, now, of course, after the promulgation of this 21-member committee also, what do you expect from the Punjab local bodies elections?
Not just PTI, in fact, all parties are, good at doing that, setting up these committees, and then nothing comes out of that. How many committees PTI has set up, on its constitution, on its different fiascos and so on, but then nothing comes out of it. So, this is just an eye watch. I don't think this committee would do anything, but the big challenge now is, what's going to happen in Punjab if the party does so badly in a KP, which is, its basic core area, and that too, those areas in KP like Peshawar Valley, forget about, the Hindko region and the Hazara region, which is PMLN's stronghold. Peshawar Valley is, where PTI is really, really popular. And if it does so badly there, then that's really alarm bells. I think the next round in KP will be in areas like where, the opposition is even stronger. And then if you come to Punjab, where, PTI has a very tenuous, hold over politics, and then, the pathetic performance of the Usman Buzdar government.
Do you think it's also, let me come back to you. I'm going to go to Javed Sahab. Javed Sahab, do you think that the Prime Minister is also expecting something from the allies as far as Punjab is concerned? He's expecting them to deliver? as far as, of course, the local bodies elections are concerned?
I think the consultation has started between PMLQ, which is a very significant ally of PTI in Punjab, and they have influence in certain areas. So consultation has already started. But I want to add here that the very fact that the Prime Minister, who is the chairman of the party, has dissolved all the political offices and the political apparatus throughout the country is indicative of the fact that the Prime Minister is not happy how the political management is being done by the PTI stalwarts, the political stalwarts. And he is not happy, and precisely I think for this reason, and the report that has been submitted reportedly to the Prime Minister about the KPK election failure, it has amply indicated that they were not happy, and the infight and the bickering within the PTI has also led to the failure of the party in the local government elections that were held recently. And they are fearing that this could repeat again in the Punjab. So that is why they are trying to revamp the party, reorganize the party, and I think the PTI has been suffering from this problem. The organizational setup is not very strong, and the political management of the PTI.
As far as PTI is concerned, of course, we saw Fawad Chaudhry Sahab say after this committee was formed, when he was giving the briefing, he said that the difference between PTI and the other parties is that it's not dynastic, it's not, and we don't award tickets like that. So therefore, we're looking into the way that the tickets were awarded, which is also one of the reasons, like you said, that all the other committees, or so to speak, have been offices have been dissolved within the party.
Yes, and I think there were openly people were openly talking about the differences within the party. The leadership of the PTI was not on the same page in KPK, and they were supporting not the official candidate of the PTI, but the opposition candidate. And so they lost so many seats there in KPK, which has been their stronghold, and that has given a big shock to this party. And I think they have to wake up to this reality that they need to reorganize, revamp the party, and also,
But do you think it's as simple as that, as far as organizing the party is concerned, or do you think that there is a larger problem when you talk about inflation, price hike,
Yes.
And when the Prime Minister says
the
that
challenge is multidimensional, but primarily it is the political party which is in government that has to strengthen its contacts with the people, with the masses. And I think the PTI is mostly depending on press conferences, press talks, and the
You think that they don't have as much people-to-people contact within their constituencies
that
they
is a must
have.
for PTI. Okay. And they have to establish this people-to-people contact to gain their confidence. Whatever they are doing, whatever progress that is being made by the PTI government in the realm of economy, they have to communicate it to the people at the lowest ebb of the society.
But do they have to communicate it? It should be felt anyway.
I think their leaders, the local leaders, the MPAs and MNAs and the party office bearers should have a very close contact with the masses, so that they are satisfied.
Ji, Ali, of course, as far as Asif Ali Zardari Sahab is concerned, there are the reports that he will be overseeing personally the politics within Punjab from now on. Overall, there has been some reflection from Zardari Sahab, some cryptic comments also. Why is that happening as far as the PPP is concerned? Do you think that there are chances that the revival of, so to speak, PPP within Punjab is something that, of course, he's hoping for?
Yes, of course, we are hoping for that, and we are working for that also. As you can see in the recent elections in Punjab, the contest was between PMLN and PPP, and PTI was nowhere to be seen. So, and that being said, the person or the party which is able to take majority seats from Punjab then rules Pakistan. So we do realize that we need to improve our working in Punjab and make our inroads, and that's why the entire focus now of the party will be in Punjab, and we camped out there, and especially after the good response we got from Punjab these current by-elections, where they totally,
But Ali,
wrote
as far
off
as the,
PTI.
again, I would say that as far as inflation price hike is concerned, certainly those are of concern to the government. They've admitted as much on numerous occasions. The Prime Minister has taken numerous notices, all of those things. But somehow they've not resulted in a gain for the opposition. Significantly so. I mean, of course, the elections you're talking about, okay, that is one election. But is there a lack of unity, grouping is concerned? Again, the PDM, what are the plans as far as the PDM is concerned? Are we going to move towards the march again now, which is what was decided? What is happening overall as far as the opposition is concerned? Because if things are like you say they are, as far as the PTI is concerned, it should be a gain for the opposition. And, as far as National Assembly session is concerned, the Senate is concerned, it seems to be quite vacant.
Well, I feel you're right. I think the PDM and the march might happen, might not. We're not, in PDM anymore, or we might be in the future. You never say never in politics. But that being said, I think eventually, each party is struggling and doing whatever they can on their own, exclusively also. Like if you see, we may not be part of PDM, but yet we're giving PTI a very tough time. We're beating them in all the elections. We are making sure we highlight all their shortcomings and failures. And obviously, we feel the pain of the people and the masses, because the masses are really suffering. Look at the inflation. There's no gas. There was a time where there used to be gas load shedding, and a few hours a day the gas wouldn't be there. But here, this time around, the history of Pakistan, this is the first time where the gas is actually coming for a certain hour.
But why is the opposition not on the streets? Forget the opposition. Why is the PPP then not on the streets? If you feel the pain of the people, like you said, and things are as bad as you are saying, then why is the opposition not doing that?
What makes you think we're not on the street? Just 2 weeks back, in fact, last week only, we held protests all over Pakistan, including Karachi, Interior Sindh, etc., and Punjab, against the price hike, against the gas load shedding. So we are very much on the streets, and we are very much protesting. So we are, doing whatever we can. In Parliament, we are raising our voice.
We are about the no confidence motion, which is again something that is being talked about. But I'll go to Niaz Murtaza Sahab ji. Niaz Sahab, do you think the opposition is significantly protesting? Do you think that they are taking advantage of, what, as far as what they say is performance of the current government is concerned?
Well, yeah, of course, the protests are there and the speeches are all there, but I don't think the main impetus will come from this kind of street protest. I think clearly what's happening now is that, the two bigger parties, PMLN and PPP, are looking towards Pindi to, strike some kind of a deal. And I think the main impetus for removing the government will come, if it comes, through some sort of a deal. And if as part of that deal, some sort of protest and long march is required, then it might happen. But I don't see, the government getting toppled with the establishment supporting it and PDM coming in with its dharna and toppling it. Anything that will happen will be through a deal with Pindi for these two parties.
What about the no confidence motion, which is again being something which is again being talked about as far as the speaker is concerned, occasionally also about the Prime Minister. How do you think that those are tangible? Do you think realistic expectations as far as the opposition is concerned?
Well, a lot of things are happening behind the scenes, and I can't say I have, insights into what's happening there. But, what you see in the media and from informed circle, some sort of a talk is going on. The talk about Shehbaz Sharif now being the consensus candidate within PMLN for the prime ministership, and so on. So all of that may, point towards, some sort of, movement towards trying to topple the Punjab government first or the speaker first. Because if you topple the speaker, that's practically the end of the federal government.
As far as the situation is concerned, when you talk about the country at this time, there is, of course, the party, the ruling party is also saying that if the opposition doesn't agree with the IMF or going to the IMF, they have no other option. Any other party that comes right at this moment, any other political party that takes the reins of government at this time will be grappling with essentially the same problems. Don't you agree with that?
They will be, but then the thing is, the PTI is near the end of its tenure, and if it stays for another 1.5, 2 years, things will be all bad, and then the elections will come. But if you
So
have fresh
you're saying
elections
that
now,
it doesn't
at least the
suit the
new
government
party
of the
will
day
have
to
5
continue
years.
then?
Sorry.
You're saying that it doesn't suit the government of the day to continue till the elections? Because of
No,
course
what
early
I'm
elections
saying
is another thing that keeps cropping up, right?
if PTI stays, elections will be held in 2023 at the most, right? And things are not going to improve before that. But if you have fresh elections today and a new party comes in, it will have 5 years. So the next 2 years might be bad. Then after that, at least it will have a chance of presenting something better. And by the time then the next elections are held, it will have a better chance than what PTI has today, going through an IMF deal. All its 5 years have practically been, with an IMF deal around its neck. So that is the
You think
problem.
another
That's why
party will have a better chance of securing let me come back to you. Ji Javed Sahab, you think another party at this time will have a better chance of securing a better deal with the IMF somehow?
I don't think, sorry, I don't think that is going to happen. There's a possibility because the situation, economic situation has gone to that extent that no political party alone
Right.
can manage this thing. And Shahbaz Sharif, the former Chief Minister of Punjab and one of the stalwarts of the PMLN, has clearly said that no single party can handle the politico-economic situation of Pakistan because we need collective efforts. He has said this. And he had even proposed an economic consensus among the political parties so that the country should be
Javed Sahab, they
pulled
haven't
out
been able
of.
to have any other kind of consensus as far as under the umbrella of the PDM is concerned. You think they're going to have a consensus on, even economy, so to speak?
No, but this proposal of having an economic
Yes.
consensus among political parties, how to address the economic issues of the country which are actually going out of the control. And the man in the street, the common persons, common people are being hit very hard by this inflation. The country is coming under the burden of more and more loans, foreign as well as domestic. So the people are bearing...
Which will happen regardless of whichever political
Exactly.
party at this time
so
is
we
in
need
government.
to do something out of the box to handle the current economic crisis that the country is facing. So for that you need at least a minimum consensus among the political parties how to address it and not to exploit.
Which, by the way, hasn't happened in the whole tenure
Exactly,
of the
it
PTI
hasn't
government.
happened. And the PTI particularly, the government, has been touting its agenda of accountability, and accountability is basically hitting hard the opposition leaders, particularly the PMLN and PPP leaders, and that is not creating an environment conducive for holding a dialogue, because the opposition thinks that they are being victimized, they are being targeted in political sense. And the cases that are the
You think
references...
this late in the day there is going to be a dialogue? When you talk about when you have Asif Ali Zardari coming into Punjab and trying to oversee whatever the situation is, you have all these theories about no confidence motion. You think there's going to be a chance to have that kind of
I don't think
dialogue?
so. I don't think so. There is a conducive condition because the government has been asking the opposition, requesting them to come to the parliament so that there could be a consensus on EVMs, electrical voting machines. But the opposition is not coming to the negotiation table. Also, the election commission, the next election are to be held. What is going to, what kind of...
That also seems to be unclear.
Exactly.
As far as
What
the
kind
whole
of
issue is.
reforms are required? So the opposition and government are not on the same page on that, and they are not willing to talk. So the country has multi-dimensional problems, economy, politics, and the next elections. If the next elections, before those elections, the modus operandi of holding this election is not settled between the government and opposition, it will create a bigger problem.
Then they will again go to court.
Exactly.
Ji, Ali, what overall, as far as the election commission is concerned, as far as the issue of EVMs is concerned, as far as the issue of economy is concerned, why doesn't the government opposition want to participate? We haven't seen that kind of participation, unfortunately. There's a lot of criticism, but that's all that happens. There are no alternatives that are being offered. as far as the opposition is concerned. At this time, like we were talking about, whoever comes and takes over government, if that does happen, which it doesn't look like, but overall the same problems will be confronting them. No political party really wants to take that on. Isn't that true?
No, I respectfully disagree with that. I mean,
I
eventually,
thought you would.
any party after winning the election would want to come and take over, and we will have to. And I disagree with the fact also, if any other party comes, will not be able to address these issues. Because if you actually reflect and if you look back at the 3.5, 4 years performance of this government, you'll see that majority of the problems have been because of a lack of decision making, timely decision making. First they exported wheat and sugar, then there was a crisis, then they had to import it. I mean, a lot of things happened which could have been avoided. In the past, if you look at the performance of the PPP, when it was the Musharraf tenure and it was ending the exact gas crisis and sugar crisis had happened, and when we got power in 2008, we were able to address all those issues and we resolved those issues. So I feel that, a party which has some kind of experience, has the political will, knows what it's doing.
Ali,
if it comes into power,
respectfully, as far as the
these
PPP is concerned, you're saying that when your party was in power, you were able to address all of those issues. But if you look at the vote bank, isn't it true that the PPP vote bank has gradually decreased, from being a popular party, national party, you have come down. I mean, now you're in Sindh.
Yeah. Well, actually, not just in Sindh. We're in Gilgit, we're in Kashmir, we're in South Punjab. I don't know why everyone keeps forgetting. We have 3 MNA seats from South Punjab. But that being said, yes, you're right. Other political parties were given a chance, and I feel that the opportunity is ripe. And now everybody, especially the people, are looking at People's Party. And you'll see, inshallah, in the coming times, in the next elections, PPP will be in power.
Right, okay, let's see what happens. Ji, Niasab, as far as the concept of electables is concerned, of course we see, as far as the PTI is also concerned, as far as all the major political parties are concerned, we see the concept of electables. We saw, even the Prime Minister saying that, he had to eventually, of course, look at that aspect of things also. In the next elections, do you think we'll see more or less largely the same kind of people, the same kind of makeup of the National Assembly, the Senate, as far as politics is concerned? I mean, generally speaking.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, it will be the same. If any party could have, shaken it up, it was PTI which came with all those slogans against corruption, dynastic politics, electables, and in the end, it sort of, embraced all of those things. So I don't see where the change is going to come. So I think all 3 parties will be vying to, win over the electables and then, try to, get some sort of support from the establishment and then, put together a coalition. And, that's really the sad thing, when the opposition had started its movement, it was about getting, the establishment out of power, politics, and that should have been the goal. But that sort of died out and it's all come down to, removing the PTI. But for me, at least, it's not the goal of, removing PTI. It's the goal of removing establishment, but that has gone back now. So I think it's going to be...
But isn't it, leave the establishment for 1 second. Of course, we have all these conspiracy theories. We have, whether establishment or not. I don't want to go into all of that. But the question for the person, the voter, shouldn't it be whether whoever comes into power can do better? Rather than any support of any kind, or whether, whatever the theories as far as the establishment is concerned. We are where we are as far as our economy is concerned. We are where we are as far as our reform is concerned. Whether the government, how the government plans to take things in till the next elections. Barring that, how do you, whichever party comes into power, the test case is going to be for them to be able to handle those crises.
Well, yes, that is true. A big factor in why PTI is doing so badly is, performance really. The high inflation, the unemployment, the poor government services, and so on. And if the next government comes in, if it does the same, then, it's going to face the same music 5 years later. So definitely, the parties have to, start giving more attention to performance when it comes. And I think they should take a leaf out of the Congress party. You can't say that dynastic politics should end tomorrow, but look at the model that Congress has come up with. The family handles the politics, the party, and they appoint competent prime ministers like Manmohan Singh and before him Narisma Rao, and those were the two best eras of India economically. So I think our bigger parties like PPP, PMLN, and PTI should look at appointing, competent prime ministers, whereas the family should handle the party and the wheeling dealing and so on, as the Nehru Gandhi party does. Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately, let me just go to Javed. Javed, we're running out of time, but I don't think we're very close to that kind of model as far as PPP or the PMLN is.
No, I don't think, because the dynasties, the families are so well entrenched in these political parties that they cannot be rooted out.
Or you can't take the N out of the PML.
And there has been a demand that PPP and PMLN should democratize their parties from within. They should hold genuine elections and elect genuine leadership. But that is not going to happen.
As far as democracy was concerned, of course, PTI was that one party and, is according to, of course, the leadership today also that one party that doesn't follow that same kind of makeup. Because, of course, we don't see one family.
PTI, yes. I think the Prime Minister has been saying time and again that it is not a dynastic party, and anybody who is competent can be the head of the party. Let's see what happens. But I think there is a need to democratize our political parties from within. That will, in fact, pave the way for a strong democratic institutions in Pakistan.
Right. On that note, thank you so much for being with us, Javed Siddique Saab, Ali Muhammad Khan, thank you for joining us, Ali Rashid, thank you for being with us, Dr. Niaz Murtaza, thank you for your time. As far as the issue of dynastic politics is concerned, whether that changes or not, certainly it will take time, but overall the issues that confront the country at this time as far as economy is concerned, price hike, inflation, all of those issues are what will confront whoever is in the government, and that is what confronts the government today. The way that they deal with it, how they deal with it till the next elections, of course, is the test case. And in a sense, the local bodies elections will also present a picture of what is to come in the next general elections. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.